Chief, let's start with the most recent officer that was let go, Officer Danielle Scott. Talk a little more about how you guys came about her obstruction of this investigation into this homicide.
Well, we're not going to go into details about that for the obvious reason that we're going to have a pending court case, and all of these matters are going to be part and parcel of an evidentiary hearing. Suffice it to say that we found indications to justify an arrest for the charge that we made, and based on the severity of that charge and her probationary status, I decided to terminate her.
What specifically is she charged with?
Well, she's charged with obstructing an investigation.
I talked to the mother of the victim, who is the victim and also the homicide victim's mother. She says that she's just a little surprised that she hasn't heard from anyone from the department about this investigation all around. What can you say that we don't see them, who is obviously a victim and also a mother of a victim, looking for justice, looking for some answers?
Well, we'll certainly talk to her in an appropriate time. We want to make sure the investigation is thorough and complete, and we do want, obviously, to have the victim feel a sense that the system has done right by her, and we hope to reassure her of that fact soon.
Is there anything in your investigation that shows that Officer Scott also had some issues with this relationship with this suspect, of also witnessing him commit a crime and not reporting it to you guys? What else?
Well, as I said before, we're not going to go into the specifics of what we found out during the investigation, as that'll be part of an evidentiary hearing.
What's the takeaway message for the...
Sorry, Nick, you had a question?
Chief, there were these 4 cases that all kind of came together representing an uptick in internal investigations at all. It was coincidence.
Well, I mean, these are examples of the system working. We have a code of conduct that we take seriously. We conduct thorough investigations of wrongdoing, and we hold ourselves accountable. There's no pattern here. None of the behaviors were related to other behaviors. None of the officers were related in anything with the other officers. It's really no more statistically significant than having 5 homicides in a week like we did last January. It's a coincidence.
What would you want to say to people who hear about these officers and these allegations against them being fired, who say that they could be concerned that other MPD officers are doing the same thing? Maybe they've lost faith in the police.
Well, there's 2 very important points to be made about our internal investigations. First and foremost is that we conduct thorough investigations and we hold ourselves accountable for violations of our code of conduct. Second, it would be helpful if the media was half as interested in next week's commendation ceremony as they are in talking about my 5 fired officers. Next week, I'm giving away a Medal of Honor, a Combat Valor Award, 11 Life-Saving Awards, and 40 Meritorious Service Awards. And I would certainly invite all of you to give some segment of coverage to that as well as this, and that might go a long way towards keeping people reassured that they have a high-quality police department.
A few weeks ago, you launched the investigation into the strip searches. Are you reaching the end of that investigation, and do you expect charges to come out of that investigation?
I'm going to defer those announcements to the Office of District Attorney. We've had a very detailed investigation. As you know, we requested the John Doe investigation, and I credit the District Attorney for being willing to entertain it. They have done a great deal of high-quality work on this, and I suspect that they'll be making an announcement in the not-too-distant future.
Can you fill us in on any details of today's the high-speed chase and what happened there? And,
You're not allowed to help each other out with these questions, are you? I mean, you're all independent reporters.
So what's happening on that when your officers were initially involved?
Sure.
What can you tell us about that investigation?
Well, we had an off-duty officer who saw some people apparently breaking into a house and getting into a van that would turn out to be stolen. On-duty units initiated a pursuit in the city of Milwaukee that lasted about 8 minutes. It was determined by the supervisors that it had gone on a bit long, and once again, the balancing test that we've been applying is the general safety of the public compared to the length of our pursuit, and we can't govern the behaviors of the person being pursued. So Milwaukee officers terminated the pursuit, but certainly put out an APB on the vehicle. Menominee Falls officers alertly picked up on that vehicle and chased it onto the highway, where the pursuit was taken up by other jurisdictions until ultimately an arrest was made by, I believe, the Racine County Sheriff and the Wisconsin State Patrol. So it was good coordinated police work that kept in mind at all times the safety of the general public.
You mentioned it was stolen last night?
The information I have is that it was a stolen vehicle. When it was reported stolen, I don't know offhand.
Chief, back to the firings. In 2010, there was a case of an officer who was arrested for OWI and for beating his wife. He was not fired. If this officer was arrested for showing new pictures of his stand
Oh, what's the question?
The question is, this one officer was arrested for beating his wife and not fighting. This other officer showing pictures of his new girlfriend is fighting.
Well, I suspect if you looked at the record, you'll find out the fact patterns were different, and the judgment made as far as the appropriate sanction was different. We look at the entire fact pattern, we looked at the degree of harm done, we look at the experience level of the officers, and we make our best judgment. I'm comfortable with the decision made in both cases.
Last question, Henry.
Overarchingly, a number of high-profile instances lately. You mentioned earlier not statistically significant. So is the problem then for you right now image control and doing upfronts like these and showing the public the job you're doing?
Well, I mean, I think it's important to have open communications with the public, which we're trying to do in a variety of venues. I mean, I recognize the press has got only so many inches and so many minutes to tell a story. Nonetheless, life tends to be messier and require longer explanations than one quote. So we're trying to put information out in as many venues as we can, both to give you news sources and tips for follow-up phone calls, as well as to give to the community context. You know, if I make a statement that covers several important topics, but there's only room for 10 seconds of it, you know, we want to be able to have an opportunity for people to see that. So public confidence is very important to us. That's why we ask for balance. We ask the fact that we're not afraid to hold ourselves accountable and have the bad news covered. We get it. You know, we're a municipal agency that's accountable to a wide variety of stakeholders. But again, I think balance requires context, and context will demonstrate that overwhelmingly the work of this police department is positive, effective, lawful, and admirable.